we are. For those of you that don't know me, I am Jamie G, Esquire, MD, Master of Surgical Arts, and sometimes a street magician. Proud of those things. And I'm here with the mathematician, Magnum Mills, and man, oh man, we're going to do something that we absolutely fucking love. No, it's not football. No, it's not dick jokes. It's something even more fun for us, and that is Always Sunny. That's right. This is going to be the Nightman.
Fighter of the night, man.
This is going to be
champion of
the sun. Ooh, woo. This is going to be the Night Pod Cometh. That's right. Magnum Mills. Just honestly, I am into this show because of you. One of the best things you did throughout our more than friendship, our brotherhood, is you told me this is a show that needs to be part of my life. And you weren't wrong, brother. This show absolutely hits. The more I watch it, the more I like it. The more I rewatch episodes and go back to seasons 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you get to 11, 13. Like, it's so good, dude. It lands, it holds up, it pushes boundaries. It's fucking amazing. I'll always love you for introducing me to the show. And I can't be more excited to do a podcast about Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and this is, when I lived in Philadelphia, this kind of came out and was a little bit of a cultish thing or whatever. And it wasn't until they had Danny DeVito on. And I kind of remember vaguely seeing an episode, but I remember more or less first I was kind of sitting at my desk in my room, and it was the gang goes on a road trip, or the gang hits the road, I believe it was. And they get in the U-Haul and they go to the Italian market, and Charlie's eating stickers and they're trying to roast marshmallows in the back of the U-Haul. There's a runaway train. There's piss getting thrown in the fucking back. Charlie can't leave the fucking city limits of Philadelphia or he weirds the fuck. And it just kind of got me there. And I went back, started rewatching, and yeah, dude, it's always a good time. Even the worst episode of Always Sunny is still a good time. And I can't even, other than the one where they go back to like the 1776 or whatever, that one's bad. That's the one. That's
yeah,
the one bad one.
The gang cracks the Liberty Bell. Will not be spending a ton of time on that one. That one really didn't land and sucked pretty hard. But for me, man, it was really the introduction of Frank. I got through season 1, and prior to getting it, prior to committing to it, after you and I spent some time hanging out and getting together for an annual vacation, and you were like, dude, you got to do this. And so I went back, I started up until that point. It was just, it never landed for me. I was always just catching it on the fly, and it was just dudes yelling at each other. Like, I didn't get it. I worked my way through season 1. I'm like, all right, this has a chance here. And then once Frank got involved, and the introduction of Frank Reynolds in the show just really, man, I started getting more and more into it. And it's like, I got into season 3. I'm like, oh my God, season 3 was so good. And then 4 was amazing. And then 5, where it's like, holy shit. And that's the time where the gang goes on the road trip to the Grand Canyon that you just described. And it's like, it's just so good, man. And then I get to 7 and it's better. And then 10 and 11. And like there's that run where the gang goes to ski school. Like the first 7 episodes of that season, I think that might be 13. I can't remember, but it was outstanding, dude. Like, so they've had me, and now I've gone back through and watched multiple times, and it's one of those things where it's landing harder every time I watch it. And so that to me, you can't really ask for more out of a show. And let's just give them some fucking credit here. I mean, this is now going to be the longest running fucking comedy show. I mean, Jesus, they're going to at least 18 seasons here, right? I mean, this is,
yeah, I think they're good for at least through 16. But I mean, yeah, they set the record with the first episode of this year. And it is fairly amazing. It's a weird balance because they were on FX, now FXX. It ain't NBC. So the money's been a little bit of a thing, and you could definitely tell how the show does look a little cleaner or whatever, but it still basically has the same feel, the same aesthetic for a show that's ran for almost fucking 20 years at this point. That's amazing that the season 2 or 3 episodes do not feel that much different. And I do have to say, yeah, obviously adding DeVito as Frank is the absolute key. They needed that. You could see the first season there were the couple. Yeah, I feel especially the pilot, the gang gets racist, and then the oh, was it the high school one where they want to go back to the prom kind of, and like you could see the
They have the
seeds there.
underage
Yeah, the
drinkers
gang,
in
the
there.
underage drinking. Yeah, because they even bring it back when Frank tries to do it in the later season. So,
Yep.
again, I think it's a show that's very conscious of what it is. And I think that all of the people involved are now kind of basically said, like, you know what, no matter what we do, kind of like the South Park guys, we're going to be the Sunny guys. No matter what else we do, we're still going to be the Sunny guys. So fuck it. We're just going to be the Sunny guys until we don't want to be it anymore. And I love that.
Absolutely, and why not, man? They're awesome. So let's talk about what we really want to give our viewers over the course of doing this podcast on season 15. And I think for me, it's just, what I'm really looking for here is being able to have them hit the highs and stay relevant. There's been a little bit of a break here, right, since we've gotten new material. And you mentioned before, you can go back to season 2 and 3 and it still kind of looks and feels the same. I want to see if they can kind of keep that magic alive here in season 15 and still find ways to incorporate shit that's happening in the world around them. They've been really good about doing that as things are happening, right? Like the gang exploits the mortgage crisis and the gas crisis, like they've had an ability to do things that are hot topic issues in the world and in our country, and they've been able to add almost a little bit of a satire blend of comedy around it, and it's really hit well. There's been so much that happened over the last year or two since we've seen them. I'm really excited about seeing them being able to continue that trend here in season 15.
I feel basically the same way. I think it's, again, you're at a point where the creators have chosen to do this. FX game made, multiple season runway to let them, if they want to end it. If not, just kind of keep it going. So there's not a lot of pressure here. So I think they're going to take their best shots. All have had success in other shows, other arenas at this point. So they kind of get to come back together here and keep doing the original thing. And I think that gives it the potential to be great. I think it'll be like, ideally most Sunny seasons where there will be hopefully a classic or two, some pretty good episodes, some okay ones, and then like one that's just kind of like, oh, it's fine. Maybe it'll work better on a rewatch in the future or something like that. But it is what it is. And that's all I'm looking for. Don't reinvent the wheel. You don't have to do anything super, but like you said, I think it is important that they do stay kind of grounded within the times and grow and adapt with it. That's kind of the one thing, you get a lot of comparisons to Seinfeld, basically, because you have this ensemble cast. They're all basically, their relationship status never changes, kind of, they keep going, they're all in the same places. But I think the main difference is, Seinfeld never adapted with the times. Sunny has.
100%. With that said, without further ado, let's go into something that you and I were both chomping at the bit to be able to watch, and there was a lot of good GIFs being sent back and forth, and a lot of excitement as we built up towards the release of episode 1, season 15. The title of this one was 2020, A Year in Review, aired December 1st, 2021, and man, oh man, was this exciting. This was directed by Todd Bierman. This is his 15th episode of Sunny that he's directed. It was written by the big three, Charlie Day, Glenn Howerton, and Rob McElhenney. And it was guest starring Brian Husky as Gary, the government auditor. Mills, walk us through the plot on this one.
Well, this one is, very 2020 relevant, and we have the gang who have to justify their PP loans to a government auditor. As they attempt to justify the loans they receive, we come to find out that the gang might have been more involved with some major 2020 events than we might have thought previously possible. And this one is kind of interesting because it does basically rely on us calling back to 2020 as opposed to a bunch of stuff within the show. We do get a few callbacks in the Charlie D part where Charlie does the he's got the wings from the gang wrestles with the troops episode, and he's sewing like in Sweet D versus the Aluminum Monster episode, or Fatty Magoo versus the Aluminum Monster, excuse me. But yeah, so there are a couple minor callbacks here, but it's mostly an episode that tries to stand on its own, talking about current events, kind of like the Gun Fever in Gun Fever Part 2 episodes did, especially Gun Fever Part 2, I would say. And so that's pretty much it for, there's not a lot of recurring actors or, general themes other than the gang tries to like sing and be bad at it. The gang does things and they're bad. So I'll just say, let's start off with what we like. Jamie G, what did you like about this first episode, 2020, A Year in Review?
Right off the top, I really liked how they essentially tied in all the major points of the year 2020 and early 2021 that, just to be honest with you, sucked. Wasn't any fun, was terrible, was the exact opposite of what you think about when you think about Sunny, which is feeling good, laughing, and just letting things go, man. That's what happens when I watch Sunny, and that's why I love it. It always makes me feel better. That wasn't 2020 or what was represented in this show, this episode, but I really liked how they were able to make those points around these events and controversies in 2020, and they turned it into something funny done in a very typical traditional Sunny satire way. And one thing I will say here that I'm really proud of them are they have zero fear of being canceled. And I just love that they said, we are who we are, and we're not going to change our show in cancel culture center and worry about it at all. I mean, and thank God, man, because that's one thing that you love about Sunny is they're just not worried about that. They're going to do what they do. And that's just the bottom line. And so really like that a lot.
Yeah, I think that was kind of summed up in Rob McElhenney's tweet with the the season 15 premiere, where they became the longest running live action comedy show, and he just basically tweeted like, "What's wrong with you people?" And it got like hundreds of thousands of likes and retweets, because that's the point. Is they are the gang. They are kind of static. They do try to grow, but they're still bad people at heart. But honestly, aren't bad people more fun to watch at the end of the day? I mean, I just really think that's the case. And here you do get some sharp writing. I think especially the conversation between Dennis and Mac when they're outside the voting place. They're trying to do the thing, and they start talking about Donovan McNabb versus Rocky Balboa, and which is a better athlete. And Dennis is very convinced that it's obviously Donovan McNabb because he's in fact an NFL athlete.
Who is a better athlete, Donovan McNabb or Rocky Balboa? Hold
on a second. I mean, that's too easy. McNabb, obviously.
Well, I don't think it's that obvious. I mean, do you think Donovan McNabb could go toe-to-toe with Ivan Drago for 15 rounds?
No, what I'm saying is that Rocky Balboa is a fictional character, so this isn't even a conversation. Are you saying you want Sly Stallone to be the starting QB for the Eagles next season? How do you think that's going to go?
Well, what year is it? Is it early 1980s? Because the NFC East was not strong, and I say that Sly takes us to the playoffs.
Sly Stallone is just a meatball actor.
Then why do we make statues to him?
We don't. Okay, hold on a second. Wait, just...
As a guy who remembers the Eagles bringing Sylvester Stallone out in a Deuce Staley jersey to try to get the crowd going, and it didn't work against the Bucks, I'm a little biased here, but I really do like this episode overall. I think they did an excellent job of tying in, the gang to real life events, which they've done before, maybe not quite to this extent. I think they didn't quite succeed in that. They could have gone further in, one area a little bit further. I will say that probably the Mac and Dennis plotline got probably, a couple good belly laughs, but probably made the least sense from a writing standpoint.
Yeah, I thought the pairing here was pretty interesting. They didn't kind of force it with pairing certain people together here like they have in the past. I like that they let Frank kind of be on his own on the island and didn't put him with Charlie, even though that's a great combination. I like that they put Charlie with Dee together. I thought that really worked well. Specifically because Dennis and Mac they're so good together, but I wasn't in love with the guitar thing, and so it did, and then but it was like then I got to Frank, and Frank's story around his PPP loan was just hilarious to me, dude. Like it was just so good, and the dyeing the hair when he goes out and it's one half's black, one half's gray, just awesome, dude. Like that one just really hit well, and then of course Charlie and Dee's really worked well together. And can we just talk about for a minute how masterful it is anytime Dennis calls Dee a bitch? I mean, it's just, Mills, am I crazy, or is this one of the better things that Dennis does?
Yeah, Dennis Reynolds says bitch like Al Swearingen says cocksucker, or Samuel L. Jackson says motherfucker. Like they could literally teach a symposium on just the art of saying these few syllables, because it is truly artistic. And D, goddamn, it just,
yeah. The way he delivers is just incredible. So, man, those are all the things that I liked. I did have a few dislikes. Perhaps we shall share those. And this isn't anything major here, Mills, but for me, a couple things that stood out that I didn't like. I mentioned the guitar bit. Like, it got to feel like they just did that just so they could like have that scene as the people were like banging on the windows, and like they were, it seemed like just like a really elaborate setup to get to something that just like it got there, but it wasn't like something, I don't know, man.
That's what she said.
That didn't really work for me. I didn't understand how they're responsible for all the votes. That didn't really work for me either. And the Kanye bit, I wish they would have went someplace different, like a surprise, like I don't know, like we find out that freaking Cricket ran for mayor and became mayor, and then all of a sudden, like, he made a run or something. Something like that would have been cooler than the Kanye thing, I guess. But I did like the use of Gold Digger from a musical standpoint there, as they did that little montage at the end.
Yeah, and that does kind of feel like they kind of figured that out. They framed it around the Kanye thing, and then using, the Gold Digger. I will say that during the credits, the way they superimposed everyone into the various situations, especially Frank with the Rudy Giuliani bit at the Four Seasons, famous press conference there, Four Seasons Landscaping, and even during the end of the episode here, as you can see behind me, like, you can still kind of see the hair dye coming down Frank's cheeks. So they do keep it going, which I think is excellent continuity. That's probably one thing that didn't work for me, is the whole Frank thing worked, but I thought that they were going to set up that somehow the gang was the reason that they did this press conference at Four Seasons Landscaping instead of the Four Seasons Hotel. And I thought, like, that's what I was waiting for, and what didn't happen, it kind of pushed me off a little bit. I thought the Charlie D plot line, I saw where it was going with the QAnon shaman guy, but it still fucking worked. It's like, I was surprised when they turned around and actually showed him. I thought they were just going to show him from behind, kind of, or whatever, but he really did, just because, like, he didn't even charge him. Like, Charlie made this fucking hat with the horns and everything for free, because of course he did, because he's fucking Charlie, and he would absolutely, he's talking about these raccoon pelts in his fucking basement and shit. So that does pay off there. I think that's fucking good writing. And I just will say that the Dennis Mac storyline, like you said, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't understand how they were supposed to be responsible for the ballot box problems, other than just kind of being annoying. But the jokes did work individually, so I'll just kind of write it off to, they just didn't quite know how to integrate what they wanted to do with those guys singing at the end with the rest of the plot.
Yeah, Mills, a lot to this one. It certainly didn't disappoint, but let's put pen to paper here and grade this thing, I guess. I mean, and let's just keep it real simple here, because we could have so many different grading mechanisms and complexities to how we do this based on other season openers, other episodes, let's just keep it simple. Just in an eggshell, this one particular episode all by itself, 10 being the greatest episode ever, a Nightman Cometh type episode. Shout out to this podcast right now.
The Night Pod Cometh.
The Night Pod Cometh. I think that's one that we have to shout out. But 10 being that, one being the game cracks the Liberty Bell, right? Like, where do you rank this one from a grade?
Well, it's certainly, you wouldn't want to rank it on a year, because you don't want to rank anything in 2020, really. Like, just not great, Bob, unless I guess you were a billionaire in the stock market or so. So if you're a billionaire in the stock market, listen to this, calls. So cool. Anyways, like, on a scale of 1 to 10 or whatever, if you just went with 10 was like rum fucking hammered, and you got the rum and you're all soaked up on it, I'm solidly pleased with this one. I'm gonna go with the it was corrupt, right? The girl took the whole 8. I'm gonna give it the 8.0. The whole 8.
She took the whole 8. But before she kissed him, she used Colgate. Man, oh man, for me, Mills, I'm right there with you. I initially had this thing as a B+. And when I convert that to, I'm not a mathematician, but we do have a mathematician on the show. I am a street magician. But when I convert this to, a B+, this to me is a solid 8 too. Like, I hate to be so ridiculous and being the same exact vote of you, but I can't give it any less than that. And honestly, I can't give it any more than that. So it just feels absolutely perfect for me being an 8 out of 10. Very good episode, not disappointed at all, super stoked about the rest of the season here. But about as good as I think it could have been with the direction they decided to go. And again, just super proud of them for taking just horrible, terrible events, somehow making it funny and doing it without censoring themselves. Very cool.
So that brings us to season 15, episode 2. It looks like FX is planning on airing this season 2 at a time, as far as we can see, with maybe perhaps the exception of the end. So we did have 2 episodes on December 1st. This is season 15, episode 2. The Gang Makes Lethal Weapon 7, aired December 1st, 2021. Directed by Pete Chapman. This is 5th episode of Sunny. He's directed, written by Glenn Howerton, Kiana Taylor, and Rob McElhenney. Guest starring Jeffrey Owens as the guy who plays Don Cheadle, Artemis Brigandi as Artemis, and Marcius Harris as Pepper Jack. Plot summary of the episode is: after the gang finds out that Lethal Weapon 5 and Lethal Weapon 6 have been removed from the public library, they set out to right the wrongs of the past by producing the 7th movie in their trilogy, Lethal Weapon 7.
This one here was interesting. There was some notable callback and appearances, and that's some of the things I really liked about it, right? We got Pepper Jack.
Damn, girl. Who you with?
Oh, I think you got the wrong idea. I'm not with anybody.
Word. Well, look here. Maybe if you get up off that crack rock, you can come and be Pepper Jack's best hoe.
Oh, no, I'm not on any crack rock. One time I was hooked on the crack rock, but that was because
Pepper Jack came back for his second appearance. For those of you that aren't hardcore heads out there, we're going to hit you with a little crazy fact here. Pepper Jack, the pimp, the first appearance he made was actually in the episode Mac is a Serial Killer in season 3, way back in 2007. This was December 1st, 2021. 2007, his first and only appearance. He comes back in 2021 and he crushes. Very cool callback there. Another one that I was a big fan of was Jeffrey Owens is back for his 3rd go around on Sunny. He was known on the show as the actor who plays Don Cheadle. He also played Donovan McNabb.
okay, I'll take an E.
Yeah, I'll take me.
We're doing these trials for you because of your harassment and your love for the New Kids on the Block movie. You paid your $30 fee. We promised you a keynote speaker. All right, bring him up.
McNabb, dude. McNabb.
Gentlemen!
This good here?
Yeah, that's cool. Just put your park brake on. Donovan McNabb.
Hey guys, I'm Donovan McNabb. I play quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm here to tell you that you can too if you start every day with a hearty breakfast from McDonald's. Like the new sausage, egg, McGriddle value meal, available now for limited time for under $5. Remember guys, real champs, eat at McDonald's. I'm loving it. Can I get the check?
That's good.
What the hell was that?
Thanks, Donnie.
That was not Donovan McNabb.
That was not Donovan McNabb.
Yes, it was.
It was like a McDonald's plug. Was that the guy from the Cosby Show? Was that the guy from
That's the guy from the Cosby.
That was the guy from... Yeah, he was married to Sandra. Alvin. They had
awesome.
Raven Simone. That's so Raven.
That's not the guy from... You know what? Spritz!
Oh. God
Spritz!
damn it.
Spritz!
Good job, dude.
And Tiger Woods. He's previously appeared in The Gang Gets Invincible back in season 3 and Frank's Pretty Women back in season 7. Outstanding role for him too. I really like that they used both these guys. And in my opinion, they were highlights in this episode.
Oh, absolutely. And, he's always kind of been great, especially the first time we pulled up in the horrible car with, I'm Donovan McNabb, and he's asking for like his McDonald's gift card or something. That dude is so good. And then the Tiger Woods, I mean, he's outstanding, and he pays it off at the end of this episode where they give him kind of free creative reign and he pays it off. Obviously, we also have Artemis, who's back. This is her 16th appearance. The on again, off again lover of Frank Reynolds. We haven't seen her since season 13, the Gang Beats Boggs ladies reboot.
Hey, you know what? Oh, the burlesque. Remember?
Yes. Hey, guys, gentlemen. How about something a little bit more upscale? Yeah? Here, come with me. I want to show you something.
Yeah, this is classy.
Put it in.
Oh my God!
Put the bottle in.
I did.
Put it in. Get the bottle out. Get the bottle
I'm
out.
trying.
Don't judge me. This is ours.
Shut the door.
She's always very good when she shows up. And, the main callback here is the gang, much like the gang tries to win an award, they're upfront with calling back the idea that their, previous Lethal Weapon episodes have been pulled from streaming services for, the use of blackface. You can make the argument that they were trying to say something about it, not necessarily do it a la, say, Soul Man or something like that, but it's perfectly okay. They have the conversation, and that's what they're trying to do here, is have a conversation. I think ultimately that's probably what doesn't work for me the most, is that there's some funny stuff here. It should be great. This is one of those Lethal Weapon. It teed me off. I was real excited, and it just kind of didn't get there the way I would have liked it to from me. So, Jamie G, what are your initial thoughts on the episode here?
Yeah, I think this one, it could be a situation here where I've always loved when they do Lethal Weapon. That those have always been some of my favorite episodes. So no matter what they did here, maybe it wouldn't have delivered to my level of expectation, but I was a little let down here in this one, and we'll get into our dislikes in a minute, but it just didn't do what it was capable of for me. And, it wasn't a horrible episode. It's not, Gang Cracks the Liberty Bell or, Sha Dynasty or anything like that. But it is an episode here where I just thought, like you said, there's a bunch of funny shit here. They had interesting callbacks and appearances. This was one that I think could have been better.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I was kind of thinking about it. It almost might have worked better if they somehow done it as an episode that the gang was barely in, and they focused more on, Don Cheadle and Pepper Jack. Because I thought that was interesting, and both those characters are interesting and good actors, both character actors that appeared in a lot of things. So they can definitely, as you've seen, they've shown a bunch of range or whatever.
Hey, partner. Happy you made it.
I'm sorry I'm late. People be driving like bitches on the 405. And my level of intensity is because I am crazy on account of my wife's murder. In case anybody is feeling uncomfortable about it.
I think this is working. This is like way better.
I think that would have been pretty interesting. Like, they kind of went with that, where in the end the gang, gives it away to kind of let them do their own thing and, gets pissed about it. But I think there was probably a more interesting way they could have done it while kind of keeping the gang involved, but maybe marginalizing them a little bit and letting them actively feel marginalized instead of trying to give it away. And that's kind of a thing that I did like about it, was when they called it out earlier, when Mac tries to be like, oh, I'm not going to play Murtaugh anymore, and then like waits for the applause or something. And like, it happens multiple times throughout the episode. Someone basically just does the bare minimum to not be racist and expects to, be, and that's pretty relevant. Like that, I think that's Sonny at their best, kind of, trying to say something about society, that you should just not be racist. Like and you shouldn't expect applause for it. But I will say that Pepper Jack was definitely great. Him and Jeffrey Owens as the guy who plays Don Cheadle, both were phenomenal. And once I got to play off with each other, especially when Marcellus, the dude, Pepper Jack's got the fucking fro on to play fucking Riggs, and then he's going to back, like, that's pretty fucking good there. And I would actually watch that movie.
Yeah, that's when it finally started to work there. Some of the things I liked about this one, outside of what you mentioned, was I actually liked Charlie as Riggs, man. Just for that little tiny bit when they were trying to do it while Dee was using the bathroom, like that was really funny. And
what? What do you mean this is not my kid? Are you motherfuckers kidding me? I've been paying child support for 5 years, and Pepper Jack's pullout game is strong. So if I don't get some answers real fast, Pepper Jack about to cut all of y'all.
Oh shit.
Go with it, Charlie. We can use it.
What's next? Come on, the phone.
The phone. I'm going to the phone bit.
Fix it, Charlie. Fix it.
All right, yeah. Oh man, I would cut someone too. Damn. Yeah, I'm sure you do have a good pull-out game, Pepper Jack. Oh, what's that? This is phone. I have a whole hat on me this time. Hello, who's this? It's Charlie. Riggs.
The fact that they almost recognized the fact that they weren't in the movie, and we're kind of taking a backseat role, and nothing was working, and it's like, this is shit. Like that I just kind of liked that they recognized it as it was going on. And one thing that I thought was absolutely hilarious is we got a classic Dennis moment. We got Dennis at one of his best in being the horrible person that he is, where he explains to the gang how he became woke. And he started going on a variety of dates with far left progressive women in their 20s, lying about his age, realizing that he wasn't able to comment and deal with them. He tried far right, same thing. And then what he started to realize was that they just needed to hear what they believe. And so he started repeating it to him to get what he wanted, which was, of course,
What the hell are you talking about, dude?
I'm talking about the dentist system.
to sleep with them. Almost a mini dentist system here. And I absolutely love that in this episode. I thought that worked really well.
Yeah, right before we circle into our dislikes, I'll just got to say there's a couple more random things. And at the beginning of the episode, when the gang's sitting around using the pool table as their conference table, you see Mac, and he has one of those 4-color pens from the 90s where it was like white, black, blue, red, or whatever. Like those little push. Like that's so fucking good. Charlie's wearing his bird law glasses. And then when they're trying to, talk about actually making the movie, Frank wants to obviously, full penetration to show it. He gets knocked down to a hand job, and he says, a hand job or I'm not paying for it. And then Mac turns around and says, that's a very important part of filmmaking, which is pretty funny in itself. And and dude, Charlie as Riggs is fucking great. And then D, like they went all the way, just called her Karen White and gave her the haircut. I mean, that was
Hold that thought, son. My shit be blowing up. Talk to me.
Excuse me, what are you doing in this park in my neighborhood?
Who is this bitch?
It's Karen White. And I live in this neighborhood, and I am sure that you do not. And if you don't leave right now, I will call the police, and I will tell them you attacked me.
I would say right there that you'd say that's finger on the pulse, finger on the puss.
That 100%. I did also like the ending here where they're like, there's only one thing to do. Make Lethal Weapon 8. So that was good. I like how they threw that out there.
I forgot to mention Pepperjack's pull-off game. Pepperjack, your pull-off game is strong. Sorry, we don't want to deny that. It's stronger than Dennis's Skeet Face. So Pepperjack, pull-off game, very strong.
Yeah, A+. And if he doesn't get some answers, he will start cutting people. Now, the dislikes for me on this one were, I wish they would have done more acting. I know they tried to deal with I understand why they weren't as involved, and they tried to take like these executive producers and directors and writing type roles, but it's just better for me with them in it. And
that's
then,
what she said.
Consequently, we never got anything other than just that one scene in Lethal Weapon 7, the opening scene essentially. So I wish we could have saw more of it. In some of the past, we've seen a full movie break down throughout the course of an episode, which is super cool, where you get the villain in there, and you get so I wish we would have gotten past that first scene here and seeing this movie.
I mean, it kind of feels like part of the problem is that they feel like bad but not bad, because I think they thought they were trying to say something about blackface, and again, very touchy subject. But like I said, I don't think they were doing it for the sake of doing it. Like, yeah, when they had D show up in it, that was too much. Like, that was over the top. But like, they tried to acknowledge it initially, and they were trying to have something to say. I'll give them that. It's just they don't really pull off anything that's funny or dives anything deeper into it from here, because I think it feels like they're kind of saying like, oh yeah, we're sorry, we didn't mean bad, but we're trying to be funny, which is what they're always trying to say. So it doesn't really break any new ground here for something that could, Lethal Weapon 7. The whole point of it is kind of like Frank's hand job. It's like a failed orgasm. It's just like she's just mashing it, and you never get there. And that's part of the problem is Frank's getting a bad hand job and never complains about her mashing it. And on a show that's so good with so many things, it's almost like they deliberately pass it up because it seemed too obvious. But dude, we're kind of here for the obvious sometimes.
That's what she said.
Yeah, agreed. They almost got a little too woke for this one, and again, I guess I just had, it's probably some of this is just me having such high expectations for, if you tell me that the episode is going to be called "The Gang Makes Lethal Weapon 7." I'm thinking this has potential to be like the greatest episode they've ever done, right? So I automatically set probably an unrealistic expectation around it. So that's probably where some of my, feelings towards, man, it just didn't get where I wanted it to get led.
A, that's what she said, and B, that's exactly how I felt with, say, like Charlie McDennis too, basically. Same kind of deal here. It's like when you tee that up, because you so good, and then they kind of subvert it a little bit. I think maybe part of the problem is that the episode really doesn't utilize Danny DeVito that much at all, whereas kind of he got to just do all that fun, scenery chewing as the villain in the first two Lethal Weapon bits. So even though he wasn't on screen a lot, when he did, he really made it felt. Here, like the whole point is he's kind of marginalized, and it just, dude, more Danny DeVito is generally always a better way to go.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with more Frank. Let's put a grade on this thing, Mills. I'll go first this time. For me, same grading system here. And this is probably unfair just because I'm comparing it to the other 6 Lethal Weapon movies that the gang has made. But for me, I'm giving this one a 6.5 and out of 10, and I think that's fair for me. It had moments where it was really good, but overall, it let me down a little bit in terms of what I thought where it could deliver.
That's
and
what
it just
she
didn't
said.
get there. So 6.5 for me. Good episode. It may hold up better upon my second viewing and third viewing and coming back to it later on. But for right now, I'm giving it a 6.5 out of 10.
That feels about right. Again, this feels very similar to me to like the Charlie McDennis 2 episode. It's good, but not great. So I would say this is a perfect Lethal Weapon 3. It's a fine entry into the movie lore. It's got a couple decent action things, brings Rene Russo in, but for the most part, it just exists to like get you from Lethal Weapon 2 to Lethal Weapon 4. And I think this is what this is. Hopefully, it's just bringing us to the gang makes Lethal Weapon 8, which will be fucking awesome. That's what I'm hoping for.
And I gotta believe that it will be absolutely maybe the best one they ever do. Mills, I suppose we should look at next time, right? I mean, this season we're gonna basically get to see 2 episodes every week. The next 2 episodes that will air on December 8th, and that will be season 15, episode 3. The Gang Buys a Roller Rink. I gotta admit, that title's got me very intrigued here. The plot summary in this one is: in the past, an innocent dentist learns the horrifying details of Frank's business. A truly sweet D is excited to head off for Hollywood, while Charlie and Mac's job at the roller rink are in jeopardy. This just has all the ingredients here to be a real special one for me.
That's what she
said. I really like both the title and the plot summary here. Here, like the title gives me a little bit of pause, and the other episode that will be airing on FXX on December 8th is season 15, episode 4. The gang replaces D with a monkey.
I'm sorry.
Plot summary. No, that's perfectly acceptable. The plot summary is: when the gang suspects that D is menopausal, they scramble to find a new employee for Patty's Pub. D decides to put her acting career on hold to mentor young actors. Look, you had me, and D decides to put her acting career on hold. She's already tried to do this before when she was pregnant, and that led to D. Reynolds Shapes America's Youth and very good things. So I am quite excited about the at least the names and plot summaries of these 2 upcoming episodes.
Absolutely. I mean, look, man, she's put her acting career on hold, her comedy career on hold. I mean, this, her TV personality career on hold. I mean, Dee's been pretty selfless when it comes to being there for the gang. I mean, I'm curious about this one. I think that also has ingredients to, what I like about this one is it seems like there's only 1 or 2 things going on where maybe they can spend a lot of the time with the 4 characters involved in each kind of storyline here. Whereas in the episode 3, it looks like there's 3 or 4 different things, and we might see a split up of sorts or paired together with some of the main characters, which is always cool too. So I like that, in looking at both these 2 coming up episodes.
Yeah, I'm generally a fan of the gang buys a blank. It's almost always works whenever they buy a blank. So I'm excited about the blank. And also anything generally with D in the title, it's also been good. So again, it's Sunny. It's almost always good. And even the worst Sunny you're going to see is better than pretty much any other comedy you're watching. If you want some comedy that's funny, but not as funny as Always Sunny in Philadelphia, all you need to do is go to joeblowfootballshow.com, bring you right to our YouTube page. If you couldn't be there, please like and subscribe. Helps us out a lot, keeps us in Coors Light and Rumham. If you want to follow all of our other show shit, just go on Twitter. We're at Joe Blow Show. You can find all of our fantasy football, dynasty, DFS, wagering, good stuff like that content at CSGAP We occasionally live stream on Twitch at Joe Blow Football Show. If you hear me, eat the rum ham, find the guy, don't fall out of the window, like the waitress, don't love the waitress, drink the Coors Light, drive the Range Rover.
And always drink Wolf Cola. This was the Night Pod Cometh, and we'll be back to give you reviews on the next 2 episodes as they air. We'll be back with more. Night Pod Cometh, Joe Blow Football Show, Drinking Encouraged production.
Hey, they brought the Coors Light back this year.
I'm so fucking focused.